Hello cardboard lovers, it's Cardboard Badger here. I hope you're doing well, and today we have a brand new standard deck tech for you. We're going black-white with Orzhov Etb'S. Not only entering the battlefield but also exiting. This deck is all about creating a large board state with a world of tokens, and all those tokens, with the help of some of the other creatures in the deck, are going to enable us to gain and drain our opponent every time they come in, and also leave the battlefield as well. So if that is interest to you, we will get straight into it with our creatures. We have 25 creatures in total, starting off with a playset of Hero of Precinct 1. For 1 and a white, we have a Human Warrior 2/2, with whenever you cast a multicoloured spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. That is the important thing to take from this card. Most of the stuff in this deck is multicoloured, which will enable us to constantly create more and more tokens. It's not legendary, which means we can have more than one out on the battlefield at the same time, and obviously have 2 or 3 tokens as well, and everything that enters, and as mentioned in the introduction, exits the battlefield. There will be multiple triggers from many of the other cards that we haven't seen yet. So this is the key card regarding token generation. Amazing card, a playset of. Next, we have a full playset of Corpse Knight. For 1 white and 1 black, we got a Zombie Knight, a 2/2, with whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. So if we play Hero on turn 2, and then on the next turn we play our Corpse Knight will come in. We will also generate a token, and we will drain our opponent for 2 life just from that turn. So a full playset of Corpse Knight. Next, we have another playset of Imperius Oligarch. Another multicoloured spell, which will then trigger additional tokens for our hero. We have, for a white and a black, Human Cleric 2/1. It has Vigilance, and it also has Afterlife. So when it dies, and we will get, hopefully it triggers from other cards later on in the deck tech, we will also produce a white and black spirit token, which will then trigger more things yet again to our Corpse Knight, because another thing has entered the battlefield. So fantastic value, and also to note that the token is multicoloured, not to trigger anything else with the hero because it hasn't been cast, but that is quite important with one of the cards later on in the deck. Next, another multicoloured card. You may see a theme here. We have a full playset of Pitiless Pontiff. For 1 white and 1 black, we've got a Vampire Cleric 2/2, and for 1 mana you can sacrifice another creature, and the Pontiff will then gain Death Touch and Indestructible until the end of turn. The important thing with this card, apart from the fact that it's multicoloured, which will trigger everything, as everything else does in this deck, you do not have to tap. You can pay 1 mana and sacrifice something. Sacrifice something will then gain and drain our opponent, and you can do it multiple times if you have the mana, which is fantastic. You can sacrifice something with Afterlife, things die, you then get your spirit tokens, they enter the battlefield, you can then sacrifice the spirit tokens, get more triggers to gain life and drain life. Fantastic card, playset of. Next, we have a full playset of Cruel Celebrant. For white and black, we have a Vampire 1/2, with whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, with everything that we can sacrifice, throw under the bus, our opponents will constantly be losing life, and we will be gaining life, which will keep us in the game longer. Amazing card indeed. Next, we have 2 copies of Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. For 2 white mana, we have a legendary enchantment creature, a demigod, and Daxos' toughness is equal to your devotion to white. So, I mean, it should at least be a 2/2, even if nothing was else on the board. But the important thing with Daxos is whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. This is absolutely fantastic if you're getting pummeled. We can gain a huge amount of life quite quickly and keep us in the game longer. Next, we have 2 copies of Taser Karlov, Quite fond of this card, to be honest. It's 2 white and a black. Legendary creature, Human Advisor. It's a 2/4 with, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So everything that dies, if we happen to gain life from that death and our opponent is going to be drained by 1, this will happen an additional time. We will gain 2, our opponent will lose 2. Plus the added bonus of creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink as well. So all the tokens that we are creating from our hero of Precinct 1, with every multicoloured spell that we play, they all have vigilance and they all have lifelink. Amazing, amazing card. 2 copies of. And our final creature, we have 1 copy of Athreos, Shroud Veiled. For 4 white and a black, we have a legendary enchantment creature. It's a god. It's a 4/7. It's got indestructible. And at the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. And whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Which means we will have the triggers of it leaving if it died, and then we will have the ETB triggers as it returns back because it had a coin on it. And we can put coins on something every single end step. Absolutely fantastic. Love this card. Just the 1 copy, but when it's out, it's an absolute beast. Next, we have the non-creature spells, starting off with 2 copies of Kaya's Ghost Form. For 1 black mana, we have an enchantment aura, enchant creature or planeswalker you control, and when enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So, the creature will die, we will gain a multiple of triggers, and then it will return to the battlefield for a load more ETBs. Absolutely amazing card, 2 copies of. Followed by 2 copies of Glass of the Guild Pact. For 2 mana, we have an artifact with multicoloured creatures you control get +1/+1. This also includes our spirit tokens, which are black-white spirits from the Afterlife triggers, making them all 2/2 flyers, which is absolutely fantastic. I love this card, and we're going to be playing 2 copies. Next, we have 1 copy of Brought Back. For 2 white mana, we have an instant with choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that will put there from the battlefield this turn and return them to the battlefield tapped, which will then enable more ETB triggers. Just the 1 copy of. Next, we have 2 copies of Murder. For 1 black, destroy target creature, and also we are going to be playing a full playset of Mortify. For 1 white and a black, destroy target creature or enchantment. And also, because this is multicoloured, it will trigger our Hero of Precinct 1 and produce a token. That token will enter the battlefield and hopefully drain and gain. So, amazing card. The fact it can do enchantments as well is hugely important, which is why we have a playset of. We are also playing 2 copies of Oath of Kaya. For 1 white and a black, we have a legendary enchantment. And when Oath of Kaya enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. And whenever an opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, Oath of Kaya deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. Amazing card indeed. 2 copies of. And our final card before the lands, we are going to be playing 2 copies of Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord. 2 white and a black. We have our legendary planeswalker Sorin. And as long as it's our turn, creatures and planeswalkers we control have lifelink. +2. Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord will deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. But the important thing for this deck is the minus ability. Return target creature with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's a vampire in addition to its other types. We can put this out and instantly minus to it, go and get a Corpse Knight or anything that's in there that's multicoloured and put that on the battlefield for multiple stack triggers if we already have one of them out on the battlefield. Amazing, amazing card. I do like Sorin indeed. And that is the final card before we hit the lands. And for the lands, we have a total of 24. We have 1 copy of Godless Shrine, 1 copy of Guildmage's Forum, 1 copy of Fabled Passage, 1 copy of Castle Lochthwain, and we also have 10 Swamps and 10 planes. And that is the entire deck tech. Standard legal Orzhov ETBs. All I have left to say is thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, do the normal thing. It does help out the channel hugely. And other than that, I'd just like to say we will see you again soon here on Cardboard Badger.